All right, so welcome, Suzanne. And yeah, we were just chatting before we jumped on. You've taken the 7 steps to spiritual alchemy training, which is like spiritual facilitator training. And what that entails was you learning my 7 steps to spiritual alchemy method. And that is a structured program, really. It's like an emotional healing program. And I'll let you just describe in your own words, because I know you've been really motivated since doing it, and we'll talk about your journey and what you're going to do with the 7 steps, and just some really relevant business related questions as well, so we can really help you and anyone else who's thinking about taking the training put it into action after they've completed it. So one question I wanted to ask is, in a nutshell, if somebody were to ask you, well, what is the 7 steps to spiritual alchemy? Why should I embark on this process with you? How would you explain it to people in your experience of it? Because you've had to do the work yourself. What
Hard
does
to
it do?
explain, but
Yeah.
because I'm from a Reiki background, I do work with chakras anyway. So
Mhm.
this was taking it to the next level. So why is that? Because I work enough. I know where the main, you see a common factor in a lot of people, and then you get the questions, and then it was like you get the feedback. But this is now like, okay, so now I can do something with that. I can do something with that sacral that's just not quite, even though I'm working on a Reiki level, that's taking it to the next step to understand why a little bit deeper. And that's just, I like that. I like the knowledge, why we're here, what can I do for this person, rather than just Reiki, off you go. No, that's not, you're going to keep coming back. So it's now finding a little bit further in and out into the field of obviously the aura, or whatever people call it, into that field. And that's how I explain it and see it in my practice.
What did it shifts did it make in you? Like, what insights did you get through doing it?
Massive. So I've done loads of work as well, so on myself, but there was still more even to come and do on here. So I've never linked where in a bulk of trauma mine was. So, you know, in the ages from the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. So when I wrote down the solar plexus, I thought, no wonder I've had, it's literally was like year after year after year, I'd say 5 big traumas, what people would class as life-changing events in sacral and alone, in solar plexus alone. So that was like, okay, no wonder you've struggled with this. And a little bit deeper why. And not even to complicate it, it was quite simple to write down. It happened, I thought about it, and now I recognized it. That was probably one of the biggest releases, than rather just guessing where it was. Or yeah, when I go, I've always had energy trap when I've gone on to retreats or stuff like that, but it's understanding now, why is it there? It made sense to me why that was there, and not to battle against it. I've accepted that was my journey, and then that's it now. It's like released in that way. But yeah, and that's in all of them really, especially root, sacral, and solar plexus. You find out who you are and why you are.
Definitely.
And that's, yeah, it's just a light bulb moment, but nothing complicated. I don't.
Yeah. What did you enjoy? Sorry, say that again. You'd just cut out then.
To be that easy, do you know, like that was the bit that blew my head a little bit. I've been on rough rides to get to the places
That's
when
okay.
I've done a book like that.
Yeah, so just for the benefit of everybody watching it, the 7 steps is, like I say, it's a structured emotional healing process that peels back the layers, going through all the experiences we've had through the psychological and spiritual development of each chakra, because they all age at different times in the 7-year cycle. And when Suzanne mentions a workbook, there's a specific workbook that you will give your clients, won't you, Suzanne? So they go and do the work in their own time, and then they come to you as a facilitator now, and you can facilitate healing with them. So it's chakra alchemy, which is using the pendulum for the energy clearing, raising the vibration, cutting cords and karma. And also the workbooks that you're talking about, it's a very self-reflective container, isn't it? It's because I was like, oh, does everybody need to be a coach who come on this training? But actually they don't. We've had so many different people from different skill sets, from Reiki to yoga to meditation to NHS workers to parenting doulas to, you know, corporate people, but who have experience of working with others. So not complete beginners, because it would just blow your mind, wouldn't it? It's not for a very beginner who doesn't have any experience. You've got to have experience of working and being with others in some kind of already facilitating role, I would suggest. But the workbooks are designed to help your client have that 360 light bulb moment. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, because I've got the booklets printed, and I've got 2 just trialing it for me, and it's been self-explanatory. They've found it because it's all right me saying it, but they've found it, even not doing the course, self-explanatory to work themselves through the books. It's been, yeah, it has been good.
Yeah. So you don't have to feel that you need to have all the skills as a life coach, because it's not particularly about that. It's, what would you say it's about really, the essence of this when you're going to be working with clients? How do you see your role?
From my role, so the other side, so doing the workbook's completely different. So then me doing the facilitator, it gives me an idea, a bit of a path of where they are. I don't really go into the books too much. I have a little scan through, see what archetypes maybe they've pulled up. Affirmations says a lot, which where their head's at, I think. And then going through the healing is my favorite part of that. I've even pulled that into some of my Reiki sessions. I think it's very flexible. I think I've struggled with a certain thing, it's not quite budging, so I pulled the pendulum out and we've gone for it, even though it wasn't a full session of that. Yeah, so I think it's really flexible. I don't know, you're just guided with it. I love it. I do. I really.
You are guided with it, and you've made a good point. The chakra alchemy that you learn, that's a course in itself, really, but I've condensed it into the 7 steps, and that gives you another booklet and a really very good step-by-step guide of how to work with people chakra by chakra. So you can absolutely use it with your Reiki clients. If you feel they've got a block in whatever chakra, get your chakra alchemy and do a session or whatever you feel called to do with that system. So that's really cool. So talk about where you're going to take this now, because you're like really super motivated, and you're like, I mean, your surname King, I mean, it's like you're going for it.
Yeah, so where do I want to go? One, definitely in one-to-one basis, but I tend to do packages of, so it would be mixed of Reiki, EFT, pulling in what is just going to be as and when I need it. I stopped a Reiki session, someone come for last week and said, this, I'm not doing you a favor doing this, I think you need to do the chakra alchemy, and that's what we did. So that is definitely one thing on itself. Another one, I'd love to do group sessions of people. Now I've got space, I can do that. That was holding me up before. And then yeah, just seeing other avenues really of where I can take it.
Yeah. So you've got a shop now, so you're opening your shop. Well, your shop is opened, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've got the studio and upstairs. So
that is amazing. Now, a while ago, you asked me some questions that were business related. So is there anything final you'd like to say about the 7 steps to spiritual alchemy?
No, I'm just glad. I'm a who, what, why person, so I need to understand the ins and outs. That's good or bad. But I think it did that. It's just, I don't know, it's just dotted everything for me, even though I've worked within energies and stuff for not ages, but yeah, really, I think it's just the tip of the thing for me to do, and just, yeah, I'd recommend it, definitely.
But what do you think was the biggest shift that it gave you? You know, I know you say it helped you release stuff that you were holding on to in the solar plexus, but what was the outcome of that? What was the benefit of getting to the bottom of that?
Why I have relationships and with certain people, it's not a negative spin, but it wasn't, I seen it in a positive way. But like saying, for instance, I was saying it, Dad, I was a dad's girl, always have praised my dad, would always have his back. And then now I know why my mum was fuming, because that was to seek something else, rather than just being brought up close. So it's just having a spin on things. But I think doing the whole course, you need to understand why that's happening and not take it as in a negative, because I don't want to be like, oh, you were never there now. It's not about that. It's understanding why that way and why we've accepted, and yeah, why we have the relationship we do. It is good to everybody, but you've also got to understand why become that way.
Yeah, and it helps understand how you've been shaped and molded, and now how your belief system is set based on these experiences. So once you kind of untangle the meshment, we can start to kind of individuate a little bit more. And the 7 steps is really about helping your client ascend. It's ascend from the root to the crown, which is where you have that soul connection and knowing who the true self is, free from the beliefs we've attained
My
through.
dad doesn't get any of this. He doesn't understand why I do this. He takes the mick because that's his way of having a communication. He doesn't understand any of it, but it doesn't mean he doesn't support me in it. It's just because I'm now broke the mold of a lot of things against everything. So now the shop, he's over the moon, but he's now talking business wise. He doesn't understand what I do inside the doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
fair enough. Yeah, it's fair enough. It's sometimes a generational disparity as well.
It makes you understand people have different views and ways, and they're brought up with them, isn't it?
It's completely, but also the ripple effect as well, that changing your inner, let's just say trauma in inverted commas, the ripple effect that has on a kind of vibrational subconscious level is phenomenal. And you might not see it directly. It's not a conversation even that you have, but you'll see you'll get to understand if, you just switch on your intuition and your insight, you'll see the ripple effects that it's having in your closest family and friends, for sure. So let's talk business then. So what's your burning questions regards business, and I'll help you.
I knew you were going to say this. I've got to find them now. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I've got the questions here actually. Do you want me to go through them?
If you don't mind, sorry, no, I've got them. I put so advertising apps. So basically I've got a base the shop now, which is easier. I've got people coming in and out, different businesses in there, so that would be a bit easier for me. But I thought, if I didn't have that, where would we advertise apps and promotional sort of things for this line of work, even just a heading of how to grab attention, really?
Yes, so it's a great it's a great question, and it's one that everybody asks, and it's quite individualized, because some people like to get on social media. Like, you didn't have any problem with me recording this, we were even going to go live and you were fine with that. Now that's brilliant, because you have the confidence and the audacity to be visible on social media, which is great in this space. So, but some people don't, and that's fine as well, but you have to just focus on your strengths. Some people like to go networking, where they'll get up and they'll speak about what they do, and they'll make connections, and they know it's just a drip, but people build their business that way, by talking and connecting with other people. So if anybody is shy and thinks, oh my God, I just can't get on social media, then you don't have to, but you can't just do nothing either and expect the world to know what you're doing. So you have to advertise yourself in some way, shape or form. And that is through talking to groups, one-to-one, or networking, basically. But I would always 100%, and I say this to people who take a courses, don't wait until the end to start talking about what you're doing, because people aren't really bothered about the name of your program or anything like that. They're bothered about how it actually helps people. How is it going to help them? But more importantly, how has it even helped you? Have you walked the walk? You're talking from experience, or have you just taken a course and now you think you can deliver it? So you have to start sharing your story. People buy people, and they buy, oh my God, that girl will get me. I have that feeling too. I've experienced that too. Well, they're not going to want to go and reveal their vulnerabilities to somebody who is not being able to be vulnerable themselves and share their own experiences. So the number one key to marketing yourself is to be vulnerable, to share your story, because that's what people will connect to. Mm-hmm. Normally people buy from me and they'll be like, I've read your story and it resonated with me. And, so they know they're not going to be judged by me. They know, like, I've walked in your shoes. We are the same, Yeah. So that's the number one thing. Advertising apps, I'm not sure about advertising apps, but there's Facebook ads, you know, and I would recommend, if anybody wants to do Facebook ads, then you get a professional to do it for you. So that's a level of investment, and I invest heavily in marketing. And you know, it's, you've got to bite the bullet with it, and you've got to give it 3 months time. So consider you have an advertising budget, and you also have a agent, let's say, that you're paying as well. So there's an investment that you need to have in the bank and go, okay, that's for that. Videos, YouTubes, client testimonials, social proof, you know, they say it's that like, know and trust. So if you're working with people at the moment and, you know, you want to start selling 7 steps to spiritual alchemy, then the people that you're using it with now, you get feedback, you ask them to jump online, you ask them to do a little video. How was your experience? You know, just get 3 or 4 questions. You know, what have you been, your questions have asked you, what have been your biggest insight? What's changed since you've done? What do you know about yourself now that you didn't know before? How do you think this will help you going forward? Try and get it on camera, or try and get it written down so you can share that social proof, because that's gold. Get, because you've got a business now, a location, you know, you'll be able to get Google reviews. So get people to write reviews for you as well. So all of the social proof, because it's evidence. You know, I see other people and they say, my client had this today, my client said this, and I think, did they? How do we know? Like, did they really? Or are you just saying that because you're trying to attract that client, you know? So
Yeah.
let your clients talk for you, you know, let them be the advocates for you. That is basically, and you've got to give it time. Anybody who sets up in business, you have got to give it time. You know, people think, you know, just because you're spiritual or you're offering this amazing healing program, the floodgates are going to open and all these customers are going to come to you. It's not like that. You know, you have to do the legwork. Like, I've been in this business now 7 years, and I've had so many ups and downs. So many times I've wanted to quit and go and work in the local coffee shop. So many times I've really been close to it. You know, I've not really, but I've just been like, you know, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? And that's because I've had things that I've had to learn, strengths that I've had to encompass to get me to the next step. And then I get to the next step, there's something else I need to learn about myself, you know, and it's all just building up your resilience and shaping you. You cannot just go from 0 to being a hero. You know, you have to fucking build up your muscle to do that. So make sure you are prepared for the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
And no, it's not an overnight thing. And just be talking about it. You know, that's the only thing I can say. If you don't talk to anybody about what you're doing, nobody's going to come to you. It's just 1 + 1 = 2. That
Yeah.
is it, you know. I asked a gorgeous friend today how they were getting on with a particular service, and said, oh, I'm not doing anything. I said, are you letting people know that you're doing it? And they said, no. Well, there you go. You know, that's why nobody is coming to you for this service, is because nobody knows that you're offering it, and nobody knows you're offering it is because you're not actually telling anybody. So find your communication style and do that.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
else would be
With
helpful?
that, just another thing that I found was I just did taster of the alchemy, so not the workbooks, just the actual thing. And people then have asked more, well, how would I go into deep that? So that's good. It's generated that. But I'm more face-to-face person, but with online, how would you run it online?
Yeah, so run it in person if that's going to be your strength, and then you'll have the confidence to do it online. So always try and it's great to challenge yourself and all that, but just always make sure like you're taking one step after the next. So that first step needs to be the secure, feel quite secure about this, so then you'll feel secure taking the next. So do your in-person groups first, build up your confidence with that. And then if you start to take it online, it's just the same, but just remember, tech will throw you curveballs. If you're going to have big groups, if it's possible, I've never had the privilege of this, but if I had massive groups, I'd probably try and recruit somebody who was really tech savvy, who could just monitor things on Zoom, like noise and chat and things. I mean, that's if you're really, really big. So, and I haven't run groups like that. So, but you can find people who can help. But online, you're setting up group rules from the start. You've got a bunch of strangers. First of all, you want to help them connect a little bit. So you might want to set up a private group dedicated for people to share their stories. Because, on our spiritual facilitator group, you guys were coming on, you were sharing like insights that you've had in the different chakras, and it can be quite sensitive. So set up a safe group where they feel comfortable. And just as you would in person, you're the facilitator, you're the leader. So, but we're all equal, and this is a community. So we're going to set up some like safe rules, safety rules where you all feel comfortable sharing the space. You do your introductions, you can just say, what do you guys need as a group? Let's go round and just go from the first person you can see on Zoom, Suzanne. What's really important for you? We're going to spend 7 weeks, 7 months, 14 weeks, whatever you decide to do, run it. We're going to spend this amount of time together. Stuff is going to come up. It can be quite sensitive. And I want to give you the space to share that with this group. What's really important that you feel safe and held in this container as we all go through this healing together. What do you need from me as a facilitator and the group? And people will say things like, confidence, maybe outside support, being able, to share things, or like to make one-to-one connections with people. Are you going to offer any private mentoring support? Just open the space for people to share. And then online, you don't force anybody to share anything, but you just open the space. Who would like to share any insights they've had from the root chakra? And do not be afraid of silences. Mm-hmm. Because there's always somebody like, oh, should I speak first? Should I? Oh no, I won't. And that long pause for you as a facilitator can be like, so just be okay with that. And you can even start and go, well, you know what? I'm going to lead from the front here so you all feel safe. This is what happened to me when I did my route. And you can start to share your story and say, right, okay, I've talked enough. Over to you guys.
Yeah, perfect. Do you review the homework book as well, or is that just for their...
That is a great one to bring up on the next session. Mm-hmm. And to go, okay, because as a really good point, the homework, right, is so important. It's the embodiment bit. It's the, you say you had the insight in the solar plexus. I was like, what do you want to do with that now? Like, is it just going to be there hanging in the ether, or do you want to do something about it? So the embodiment journals, so it's a separate workbook, it's an embodiment journal, and it's really for the client to take ownership, accountability and responsibility and action to become the person they want to become. So they're shifting the energy, and the only way you can shift the energy is to shift it into something else, is to alchemize it into something else, and that's whoever they want to step into. So get them to do the embodiment and get them to talk about it. It's a really nice thing. It's like, who are you blossoming into? Do you know what I mean? So get them to share their stories on that.
Mm-hmm. So you start a session. So the next session, so after the root, obviously you don't have that. When you're going on the sacral call, just say you'd start off with that aha moment and then go into the sacral workbook.
Well, you could go into with the root chakra embodiment. So they've done the workbook, they come on with you, and they may have done the embodiment. It depends how you set it up. You can get them to do both things and jump online, and then you can say, okay, what was your insights, and okay, now I really want you to tell me, like, who are you becoming with this route, your awareness, and now your action. What are the action steps you've taken, and how has it worked out for you?
Okay, so you can do them at any time, and then you can do the healing session.
Yeah.
After. Okay, that was just it. I didn't know if it had to be a set way.
Not necessarily. It can be a lengthy process, and you can need quite a lot of time for people. So it depends on how long you're giving yourself. If it's going to be like if you want to do the embodiment and the healing in one session, consider the amount of time you're going to need. Be like 2, maybe 3 hours. Just depends, really. Or you can save the embodiment for the following week. How did you get on?
Yeah, so that's the way I've done it,
Yeah.
just with the trials at the moment, but they're in person. What was the other one? Yeah, how many people would you mentor at one time, run these courses through?
So that's something you've got to consider. Some people will want mentoring through it, and then others just won't. So if you're taking like a group of 7 or whatever, you've got to realize that, okay, how have you got the capacity for that? How long are you giving each person? Maybe you build it into the price of the group. Maybe you add it on as an extra package. If you want personal healing and mentorship with me, then you can buy a package at 50% off because you bought this course, but it looks like this.
Yeah.
But I would say in that private group you create for your 7 steps of spiritual alchemy participants, you could go live in there like every 2 weeks or however you decide to run it. That can be part of your mentorship. So it's group mentorship, not one-to-one. But if you want one-to-one, you might want to charge out for that because it's going to be a bit more of your time.
Yeah, perfect. It makes sense. Since I've wrote these, now I'm saying them back, they sound obvious, but I just thought they'd come up anyway. So just advertising the packages. We've gone through that at the beginning anyway, didn't we? So I don't need to go over that. And in a group healing in person, is there a maximum amount? I know you got with different energies. I suppose it's going to be like anything, isn't it?
It is. It's like anything, really. It's,
You won't know, will you? That's the...
you won't know until you try, and it's just a suck it and see situation. If you're somebody, and you know what, if you get really big, you might want an extra facilitator in there to hold space. So just to contain the energy, because you don't know what's going to happen in a group. Somebody could get really triggered and upset, and somebody might want to talk a lot, and if you've got a big group and there's just one you, then I would say have another space holder in there, a facilitator who can really go and nurture people who need it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with the how long would you do them? Say you're running them on a course, just to say one off, like them. How long are they in normally to run? Would it be like a morning, about 3-4 hours the same?
Yeah, and don't forget, you can add anything to this. 7 steps, although it is a brand on its own, you can add it in with other stuff that you do. So if you're doing crystal healing, if you're doing Reiki, if you're doing anything like that, you can have it, we've got EFT, Reiki, and we're going to be going through the 7 steps program. Or you can give them a taster of the 7 steps, and you can just do energy healing workshop, and this is a taster of each of your little things that you do, and then you can sell the 7 steps of spiritual alchemy off the back of that, or they can have chakra alchemy healing with you as well. So but it really depends. You can make a full day of it, like, you could do a root chakra workshop that is a paid workshop, and then if they want to come and do the rest of the program, then they get a % off, because they, but it's just a nice way in and a nice segue for them.
Yeah, so it's just getting my head right. So it would be okay doing one just as a taster and then see if they want to come.
As a taster, yeah, yeah. I mean, the root chakra can be the heaviest for people. So again, I would be offering some kind of aftercare-ish,
Thinking
whether
I don't
it's,
want them
yeah.
hanging if they've gone and found something. And
I
then
know, I don't know that that's a good idea thinking about it. I think if you're going to do the workbooks with someone, because they can really be quite, revealing, I would not do the workbook with them.
but the chakra healing would be okay, wouldn't it?
Chakra alchemy is perfect. You could even do the chakra meditation that you get. You can do some affirmations. You can talk about, so there's other stuff, but I'd save the workbooks for the container.
Yeah. I was thinking that. So only do that if you do the whole lot, because it's a bit like therapy. You can't leave it halfway. You
Yeah,
can do more damage, can't you? Then
yeah.
okay. I think that's answered. I think have you got any more down off me? I think that was it. Oh, prices.
Yeah, so prices, it's really, really up to you. It's, your audience.
I compare. So it's like you can't even look. Normally you guide yourself round your area, but this isn't out there, is it? So it's a bit like, where do you sit, kind of.
It's really difficult because, area to area, from London to Scotland, you're going to have a massive difference in price. So I would say, you've got to remember what this is. And I always think, like, you've got to, like, be strong in your conviction with your prices. And I know it's can be tricky for people when they're starting out, but if you don't believe in it yourself, then you're going to start giving it away, and then people won't believe in it then, for sure. 100% they won't believe in it. Sometimes people correlate value with the price tag, so you've got to remember that. But then there's other ways of seeing it, like, people are scared to make big investments on themselves as well. But you've got to remember how much you invest in yourself. Like, I invest thousands of pounds a year in my continued education and training and resources. Like, I invest so much money in it because I'm passionate about it. So you want clients who are passionate about healing themselves.
Yeah.
This is like life-changing stuff. It helps people heal their past. If you want to continue down a future which is dictated by your past events, then go ahead. But you're offering a program that can help alleviate a lot of their past issues, to at least align them, and then they do the work to what their best future can look like, which is freedom and authenticity in the self. You can offer them that through this program. How much you want to charge is completely up to you. It's up to you, but just think about it.
Yeah, see, I haven't even got an idea. Normally I'm quite good, like my Reiki and stuff. I'm not high, I'm not low, but I don't discount. I say that is my, because people want it, they come and whatever, but I don't even have a ball. I don't even know where to start because I can't compare.
Depends on what it looks like as well. Are you offering it in a retreaty type setting? Because you could do each chakra as a day retreat, especially if you've got the space. So that would look different to doing a workshop. So we can talk about, I can guide you on this, and we can talk about this offline, but think about how you can package it up, and we can discuss it, but just
I could think of loads of ways. Mainly my first one is to run the books properly and have a few people that I want to just run with that. There's loads of ways you can add it in. Like I said, it's really flexible, but I've had loads of interest of people wanting to go through each chakra and do the whole workbook and healing.
Take them through, I mean, just ideas that come to mind. Take them through a complete chakra immersion with it. And if you've got the space, take them through a mini day retreat with each chakra, and you can bring in so many different things, like chakra color, chakra dance. You've got the meditations, you've got the workbooks, you've got the embodiment journals. A mini day retreat, you'd have space to do all of that if you're running it in person. you know, you could do so much, and the value is there. You could, you know, it's valuable.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to think hard about that one.
Yeah, and we can dissect it a bit more. I'd ask you more personal questions about where you're at with things, and then we can, you know, find a price that's comfortable for you and see how that feels and stuff. Yeah.
I think that was the main thing, really.
All right, brilliant.
Yeah, I think that was all of them.
So
Thank you very much.
what's your space situation? So what's the name of your business now, Suzanne, if somebody does want to get in touch with you?
So I'm still a more holistic healing. Just the place I've opened is House of Healing, because I've got different businesses underneath. I don't want them to run under my name.
Yeah, I love that. House of Healing. That's amazing. And where are you based?
In Nuneaton, Attleborough.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. All
No
right.
worries.
We'll connect again offline and go through things properly.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right, love. Take care. See you soon.
Bye.